Hey folks, so originally I started this YouTube channel back up because a lot of the YouTubers out there are showing their massive fish rooms that they have 50 tanks in, and they're keeping these fish with like 14 syllable names and only using scientific names, and they're talking about the pH has to be between 6.452 and 6.453 and all this stuff. And I started this channel up to be a channel for the new guy, to help people get into the hobby, to be a channel that people could come to when they've got that tank in their living room and something happens and they don't know what to do, or they don't even know how to start, or they need help knowing what is this fish and why is it acting this way and it's eating all my guppies, and to be a beginner intro type channel. And I did a few videos like that, and then I kind of started showing, hey, I'm making a fish room, hey, I'm getting this, hey, I'm breeding this, and I haven't really done a whole lot of videos on the basics. I've got my basic filtration series talking about the different types of filters that you can use, and I've got a couple, like my first one or second one or whatever it was, about cycling, how it works. So I'm going to try to do a few more videos like that, just the basic stuff. So this one, we're going to talk about algae. You either like algae, or you hate algae. Or you hate algae, and you say you like it because you can't get rid of it. But algae is simple. Basically, algae needs two things to grow. It needs light and nutrients. And if you have excessive amounts of either one, you will have algae. And recently I watched a video of a YouTuber, I won't name who it is. I'm sure a lot of you saw the same video because a lot of you are subscribed to the same person. And I'm not saying anything bad about the person. They were spot on by the end of the video of one of the one of the things that added to the algae in the tank. But they went away for a few days on vacation or a business trip or something. They weren't home for a few days, and they came back and one of their tanks had algae in it. And they couldn't figure out why. They tested the water flow, and they tested this, and they tested that, and they asked this person, they asked that person, and couldn't figure it out. Well, turns out in the end, one of the neighbor kids had dumped a half a bucket of fish food in the tank or something, and well, there's your nutrients. Nutrients are anytime fish food gets put in there, fish poop, anything breaking down. If you've got too much of that in your tank, of stuff breaking down in your tank, then what we'll call nutrients go up. So that can lead to algae. It can also lead to an ammonia spike or other issues. So this YouTuber that made the video about his algae problem attributed it to the excess of food being put in the tank, and that probably was a contributor. But the first shot of this tank, I could tell a second contributor to the algae problem, and I'm not sure this YouTuber is aware of that, or if this is just normally how it runs. But the tank was sitting there, so we'll use this as a tank. The tank's sitting there, and all the algae was growing on one wall, or the majority of the algae was growing on one wall of the tank. And if you have that issue, if your algae is focusing on one area, your nutrients may be up, yeah. But there is another big contributor to your problem. It's growing on that one wall because the light is coming in and hitting that one wall from somewhere. Well, in this YouTuber's video, that was the case. full wall of green on one wall. This wall over here and this wall over here kinda had some green algae, but this one over here was completely covered. And the reason? There was a window over here, and you could tell in the video. It was visible in the video. There was a window there. The shade was pulled, but it was getting a lot of light still with the shade being pulled. So my guess is, besides the nutrients being put in there in the form of the excess fish food, I would say maybe this YouTuber's wife or his daughter or somebody wanted to brighten the room up and get some extra light in there, so they opened the shade, and the sunlight came in and penetrated that tank, and it was getting direct sunlight, which will spike your algae if you're out of balance just a little bit. So hitting that one wall of the tank, was like a party for the little bits of algae. Just took over that whole wall of the tank and covered it in algae. So you have algae in your tank. Algae can be the form of many different forms. We won't go over all the forms, but green spots on the wall, green filaments like hair looking growing. It can just be green water. So how do you fight your algae problem? Well, first, try to figure out why you have an algae problem. Are you putting too much food in it? Do you have too many fish in there? Is it getting direct sunlight? Are you leaving your lights on too much? And if you can figure out the reason, the root cause for your algae, we need to fix it where it starts. Then we can take care of the immediate problem of the algae. And you can do some manual scrubbing. Get in there with a little scrubber and scrub the algae off. A heavy water change, and then turn the lights down or off. You can black out the tank by putting, say, a blanket over it so it doesn't get any sunlight, doesn't get any ambient light from the room. Your lights are off, no light at all. You can do that for a couple of days. Even your freshwater plants will be okay with that because they are more complex than algae. Algae grows hard, but it dies hard. So you cut the light off from it for a little bit and it will die off, where a plant will hang on a little longer. You black it out. You can cut your feeding. Don't feed for 3 or 4 days, depending on the type of fish that you have. Most fish are fine for a week without eating, but there are a few that get underfed. So those are some options. If you don't have actual plants in your tank and you have fish that can handle it, adding a little salt to your water, aquarium salt, not the table salt, will help fight algae as well as some other parasites. And it's pretty simple. I say it's pretty simple, but it's the thing that even advanced hobbyists struggle with. But it's algae. It's part of the hobby. And the algae really doesn't bother the fish. The fish can swim around in green water just fine, and they can still use their eyes and their lateral lines and other sensory devices to tell where they are and what's going on. The algae bothers us because we don't have lateral lines and our eyes don't do well seeing through algae. So it's more of a aesthetic thing than anything. But you can use the algae scrubbing pads, water changes, change your feeding and lighting regimen, and they make chemicals out there, but I'm not a big proponent of adding extra chemicals to my tank because you never know what it's going to do. So that's just the basics of algae. I got a text, so I got to go, and I'll see you next time. Till then, comment, rate, subscribe, hit the notifications button, and all that.